Okay, this is the answer key video for the trinomial review worksheet, which was lessons 8.5, 8.6, and 8.7. Okay. All right, so let's take a look here at number one. So on number one, we are again looking for factors of 56 that are going to add up to 15. Okay. So if you can't come up with something real quick, make your list. However, if I'm thinking off the top of my head, 7 and 8 would work. 7 times 8 is 56. And when I add them, I'm going to get 15. So I'm going to have V plus 7 and V plus 8 because it's all addition. Okay. All right. Number two. Okay, remember the very first thing we always do is pull a GCF. So let's pull that 5 out and get x squared plus 2xy minus, what was it, 15? Y squared. Okay, so now again, we are looking for factors of, in this case, negative 15. That gets us a 2. So if I'm thinking about this, 3 and 5 pop into my head right away. And then since I need a positive 2, I'm going to make the 3 negative and the 5 would stay positive. So now when I add, I'm going to get a positive 2. And when I multiply, I get negative 15. So keep the 5 out front. It's going to be x minus 3. Don't forget the y's on the back side there. And then x plus 5y. Okay. Number 3. Okay, so on this one, there is no GCF I can pull out, so I'm going to start a list. I've got 1 times 7, 1 times 10, and 2 times 5. So now I'm thinking inside, outsides to try to get something to work here. The problem is when I do my outsides here, I'm not going to find anything that works right away. So like here, I've got 10 and 7. That's no good. It'll be the same thing on the next one here. When I do the 1, 5, I get 5 and 14. So that's no good. So then remember, when that happens, let's go ahead and flip it and try this combination. So now when I do that, I'm kind of focusing in right here on the 30, 35. And then the 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. So now again, keep that combo. We've got a 7-1 and a 2-5 combo. So I get 7R and 1R. It's all positives. So I've got positives. And then I've got a 2-5 combo on the back side there. Number 4. Okay, there's no GCF on this one either. So I'm going to go ahead and start 1 times 10, 2 times 5. Okay, on this guy, I've got 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. Okay, and let's see, I'm looking for a negative 17. Oh, kind of looking here. I don't see anything that works out right away. Just keep in mind you're doing, your outside, your inside. So like 10 and 20, that doesn't work. Okay. So but I'm kind of running through it in my head right now. I don't see anything that's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and do a flip again. Okay. And then, okay, here we go. 5 and 5 would be 25. 2 and 4 would be 8. So when I subtract, that would get me a 17. Now, since I have negative 17, I need that 25 to be negative. So I've got this guy and this guy. So I've got a 5M, a 2M. On the back side, I have a 4N and a 5N. Okay. Now I need that outside number, right? That 25 to be negative. So I'm going to put a negative in here. And then that 8 needs to be positive. Okay. And then you could check to make sure that it's good. Number 5, I'm looking for factors of negative 35 that add up to 2. So right away, I'm thinking a 7-5 combo here. So 7-5. Okay, and then I would put a negative 5 there. So when I multiply, I get negative 35, and when I add them, I get 2. So I've got k plus 7 and k minus 5. Okay, so when I'm looking at this guy, I see GCF because I see I can pull a 2 out of all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull a 2 out. N squared minus 17n plus 70. So now again, I'm looking for factors of 70 that get me negative 17. And let's see, when I do that, 10 and 7 pop in right away for me. And then I would need them to both be negative to get the negative 17 in the middle. But then when I multiply, I get a positive 70. So now keep that GCF of 2 out front. I get n minus 10 and n minus 7. All right, okay, let's go to the back side here. Okay, so I'm looking at this guy. I don't see a GCF. So let's go ahead and do our factors here. 1 times 4, 2 times 2, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And I'm kind of looking for a combo to get a 13. But for a negative here, it means I have to have a positive negative, right? So we're actually going to subtract to get to a positive 13. Oh, let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing anything that works off the top of my head. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip and get 4, 1, and obviously 2, 2. I don't need to recheck. And, oh, okay, I think I finally found something here. So looking at 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 3 is 3. That would work. So if I have a negative 3 and a positive 16, that would get me the positive 13 there in the middle. So I'm looking at a 4, 1, 3, 4 combo here. So I'm going to have 4x and 1x, and then I'm going to have a 3 and a 4 on the back side there. Okay, so now 16, right? We want the 16 to be positive, and we want the 3 and the 1 to be a negative. And so that right there is going to be your answer. Okay, so now this guy, again, I see kind of some bigger numbers, and I definitely see some square rooting going on here. So let's just check that real quick and see if it's perfect square. If not, then we'll make our list, but hopefully it'll work out so we can shortcut it a little bit. So the square root here would be a 9n. The square root here would be a 7. So 9 times 7 is 63. And then when I multiply it by 2, that gets me the 126. I think that looks great. So I'm going to get 9n plus, because it's all positives, 7 squared. All right, number 9. Okay, so I'm going to start my list here. I've got 1 times 3, 1 times 16, 2 times 8, and 4 times 4. Okay, so again, I'm running through my inside, outside. I would need a negative, negative to get the negative in the middle, right? So same sign, we know we're going to be adding up to get to negative 4. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how we're going to add to a 4 with these numbers. So let's see here. So I'm looking at my small numbers because this is the best shot I got. And I'm seeing a 4 and a 12. That's not going to work. Yeah, there's nothing here that's going to work, guys. So when that happens, we end up with prime. So in this case, it's not factorable. So you can run through all your options there, but you're not going to find anything that works to add up to a 4 with those numbers. All right, let's go to the next guy. Okay, again, it looks like I got some square rooting I can possibly do. So let's check those first. And so I've got 9u, 5v, and then I multiply it by 2. So 45 times 2 is 90. Yep, so I've got 9u. Now again, we're looking for your sign right here in the middle. It's a negative, so I have a negative and a 5v squared. So that's a perfect square. Okay, number 11. Definitely a GCF problem here. Those are huge numbers. So let's go ahead and start by taking a 5 out first. And I've got, let's see, 405 divided by 5. I've got an 81 n squared. 360 divided by 5 would be a minus 72. And then an 80 divided by 5 would be a plus 16. Now, it does look a little square rootable here, so I'm going to go check real quick. Is this a perfect square? So I've got a 9n and a 16 as a 4. Okay, and then if I multiply by 2, well, 9 times 4 is 36, times 2 is 72. Oh, thank goodness. So I've got a 5 out front. I've got a 9n. Again, look at your sign right there for your minus 4. And then there's 2 of them. And that's going to be our answer. Okay, number 12. All right, definitely no GCF here, so I'm going to go ahead and start my list. I've got a 1 times 3, a 1 times 50, 2 times 25, 5 times 10. So those would be my options here. All right, so I'm looking for addition, so it's just all addition, right? So same signs, we're just going to be adding. It looks like maybe right here. Okay, 1 times 10 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. Yeah, that looks like a 25 to me, so that's looking good. So I've got a 1, 3, 5, 10 combo. So 1K, 3K, oops, forgot my 3 there, didn't I? nope, 3K. Okay, I've got addition, and then I have a 5 and a 10. And again, you can show a check just to make sure you're getting it right. All right, number 13 here. This guy doesn't know GCF, so we're just going to have to make our list here. So I've got 1 times 10, 2 times 5, 1 times 45, 3 times 15, and 5 times 9. All right, and I'm looking for 41. My signs are positive, negative, so I know I'm going to be subtracting to a negative 41. Okay. No, oh, okay, maybe I did find it. Okay, so if I take 1 times 9 is 9, 10 times 5 is 50. Yep, and then if I make the 50 negative, that would work. So this is the combo I'm going to go with. Okay, so I have a 1p, 10p, and then I have a 5, 9, right? And then when I'm looking at this, I'm going to take the 1 times the 9, and we know that that's positive, so we want this to be positive. And then a negative 50, well, when I multiply here, this is a negative 50. Okay, and there's your answer. Again, you can check it just to make sure you get it right. Okay, so on this guy, definitely a GCF. I know 2 will come out. I'm actually thinking maybe 6s here. I think 6s will come out of everything from the looks of it. So I'm going to pull a 6 out. I'm going to get 4x squared plus 20x plus 21. Okay, all right, so now I need to go ahead and make my list. 1 times 4, 2 times 2, 1 times 21, and 3 times 7. All right, so we know it's going to be all positives, so that's fabulous. We know we're going to be adding, and we're looking for a 20. Here, what about 14 and 6? I think that's looking good. All right, so we've got 6, 2x, and 2x, and then I have a plus 3 and a plus 7. Okay, and again, you can always check it to make sure you got it right by foiling. All right, and that concludes the answer key for this lesson.